Realized I didn't even check my mic. What's up? Homo Crypto Erectus. Did you change your name? I feel like it wasn't that long before. Capitalization. John. 600K tomorrow. Spend that. I just looked different to me today. Nibbler, how you doing? 600K tomorrow. First off, thank you for resubbing. Always great. When you sub, you can put in like a note. So it says, John subscribed to tier 1. They've subscribed for 4 months. Currently on a 4-month streak. And John's note, 600K tomorrow. It's aggressive. I like it. Look where your head's at. Zook. What's up, man? The Grand Rising? Maybe. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. I'll say that. Get this actually right along the red line here so that way from a perspective. It's funny because, like, if you were to look around Twitter right now, you'd think we're at like all-time highs. People are losing their minds. Kaz, what's up, buddy? You're awake early? Oh, not really. It's like 8 your time. But this is like, you know, figured I'd pop in. Bill, how you doing? Not sure I've seen you in here before. Always good to see new ones. Bill says, yo. Yeah, your body's on sometimes. That's a good point. It's going to take you like, that's the shitty part, is going, you're always fine. You're like, all right, I'll travel, get into this new area. You're excited, you know, one day and you're good. And then coming back just sucks. So you're like, oh, well, I was on that time frame. Nice time for the stream. Why pump? We're going to talk about it, Yanni. If I'm wrong, I just spent 600,000 pesos. What is that, like $4? Cookie pie. Kind of like going back to the West Coast after Central Eastern time because then I wake up a little earlier. Yeah, I get that. It is really kind of interesting how clean and clear this has been. I guess I can take this out here. Because remember, whenever you get these wicks and you're like, all right, where's the level? Not exactly sure. Switch to the line chart and look at this. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you can maybe call that 5, but not really. And like, it just has been respecting this kind of like compression, right? I find that pretty wild that you have like pretty clear selling between 43.9 and essentially 44.8. Whatever. Probably could condense this even further and go. It's actually more like right here in the wicks above. So you have this area of $600, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 times been rejected, but 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 times down here as well. It just goes to show you that this clearly is like where we should be right now. right? There is clear demand at this level and supply at this level. And that makes this kind of easy to do, right? Makes this kind of easy to do. You just go, look. Okay. Apparently the executive order just dropped. So let's pull that up. Ah, flashbang. Fuck me. All right, there we go. Sorry, guys. Woo. Oh, there's a dark mode here? Let's go. Oh, no, just high contrast. Fuck you, White House. Oh, my God, it's so long. Well, we're not going to read that. But, like, can anything ever be done shortly? Like, Jesus, give me the too long didn't read. Joseph Biden. Kobe dropped a summary. Read the key points. So I can get off dark mode here. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Advances in digital and distributed ledger technology for financial services have led to dramatic growth in markets for digital assets with profound implications for the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, including data privacy and security, financial stability and systemic risk, crime, national security, the ability to exercise human rights, financial inclusion and equity, and energy demand, and climate change. Jesus, whoever wrote that should be punched in the throat. This is wrong with everything. In November 2021, non-state issued digital assets reached a combined market cap of $3 trillion, up from approximately $14 billion in early November 2016. I'm sorry, November 2016. Monetary authorities globally are also exploring, and in some cases introducing, central bank digital currencies. While many activities involving digital assets are within the scope of existing domestic laws and regulations, are they? Fuck you. An area where the United States has been a global leader, growing development and adoption of digital assets and related innovations, as well as inconsistent controls to defend against certain key risks, necessitate an evolution and alignment of the United States government approach to digital assets. Okay, that's better. All right, cool. So, same shit. Specifically, the executive order calls for measures to protect U.S. consumers. I just want to say that anything under the guise of consumer protectionism is bullshit and actually hinders development overall. It's fucking bullshit. Okay? It's fucking bullshit. Whatever. By directing the Department of the Treasury and other agency partners to assess and develop policy recommendations to address the implications of the growing digital asset sector and changes in financial markets for consumers, investors, businesses, and equitable economic growth, the order also encourages regulators to ensure sufficient oversight and safeguard against any systemic financial risks posed by digital assets. I mean, at what point, guys? At what point did somebody say, like, there's actually not shit we can do, though, so how are we going to handle this? Right? Because let's talk about this for a moment. What is the thing that they could do with Bitcoin? What could they do? Has Bliss. Resubs with Prime. Subscribe for 7 months. I think you're one of the earliest, man. You might be the longest. I don't know. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. What can they do, right? Like, the worst thing, I think you were too. The worst thing that they could do is limit off-ramps, right? Like, that's the thing that they could do. Yeah, so BAP is right. Like, it's a big nothing burger. Yeah, so Kaz is saying at least the executive order isn't crazy bearish. It's kind of just acknowledging that like additional regulation is required, which is true. The problem is like, and BAP says it's going to require a bunch of studies and they'll come back with that. So this is why Sam was Smoking Joe's second largest donor, right? Because it's all going to be about that conversation. So like, I'll go through and like hit these points and we'll talk about them real quick and then move on to the actual market itself. But this is where lobbyists make their money. Okay. This is where lobbyists make their money. As you guys may or may not know, I used to work in commercial insurance. Okay. So I sold commercial insurance. I wasn't fucking knocking on doors being like, yo man, you need an auto policy for your house or your car and umbrella and all that shit. I don't work there anymore. However, every single year as an insurance broker, I would send off $500. It was voluntary, but my company was like, you're going to do it. And it was essentially just funding lobbyists on Capitol Hill. Hey, we send a bunch of money to lobbyists. So while these conversations are taking place, we can influence them to our benefit. Like perfectly legal. It's what lobbyists do. And so what BAP says about, it's nothing right now, but it's going to be them saying we need to get a lot of studies done and talk about this over the next 6 months, year, however long it's going to be. This is where lobbyists come into play. So I don't know who like the crypto or the digital asset lobbyists are, but this is essentially the way that this shit happens. They go, well, we need to do these things. And so I imagine you'll see DAOs for lobbyists pop up in the next couple months, where it's going to be kind of like what I was talking about when I was an insurance broker. Like, hey, you should ship off $500 and send to these people because ultimately it's going to help long term. Like what we were lobbying for was insurance about like limits of liability and like, you know, how far did our professional licenses cover us personally and, you know, regulations on how much money we could make and shit like that. So, you know, it was worth doing to keep things favorable. And unfortunately, that's how fucked up our government is. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see. But, you know, protect the U.S. and global financial stability and mitigate systemic risk. This is what got me off on this tangent because like, I just laugh at the premise of that statement. Protect U.S. and global financial stability and mitigate systemic risk. Oh, you mean like mitigate fucking printing the dollar into oblivion? You mean like mitigate the ability for people to get into debt that it is insurmountable and causes absolute cracks in the foundation of a country? Because that's what y'all motherfuckers have been doing. But sure. Let's make sure we can protect U.S. and global financial stability and mitigate systemic risk because of a sub $3 trillion industry. Like, fuck you. Okay? Absolutely asinine. But it's what they gotta say, right? The good news is from a crypto perspective, and I'll keep just like hammering through this really quick, is again, like Sam is our champion. Whether you like Sam or not, you know, he's our champion because he's going to have the first seat at the table and the money to influence this. And that's the way this goes. Identify and mitigate economy-wide, i.e. systemic financial risk posed by digital assets, and to develop appropriate policy recommendations to address any regulatory. Like, come on. What did you do? Mitigate the illicit finance and national security risks posed by the illicit use of digital assets. Okay. Let's talk about that for a moment. Okay. Mitigate the illicit finance and national security risks posed by the illicit use of digital assets. by directing an unprecedented focus of coordinated action across all relevant U.S. government agencies to mitigate these risks. It also directs agencies to work with our allies and partners to ensure international frameworks, capabilities, and partnerships are aligned and responsive to risks. Okay. So Hasbula says, I mean, cartels and stuff have wallets, right? Yeah, you know what? They also have bank accounts. Okay. They also hold a lot of money in dollars. Like, what you need... It's all so tiresome, guys. It's all so tiresome. And the reason why it's all so tiresome is like, this is what governments do, okay? You're gonna focus on controlling shit that is uncontrollable, which is what they try to do with like anti-money laundering and like funding for terrorism and whatever. And essentially, like, what do they do with that? Well, they freeze bank accounts. Fine. But if you think that people don't get that money around anyway, you're out of your fucking mind. So, you know, limit the off-ramps or whatever it may be. I guess right now I'm only 3 bullet points into this. Actually 2 bullet points into this. And what I can say right now is privacy coins to the moon, guys. It is Zek's time. It is Monero's time. It is Secret Network's time. It is a lot of that. And it's not necessarily because, like, what will be the possible outcomes on the level of transparency that they want to be able to satisfy this mandate. Yes, the privacy could be huge. It's going to be enormous. Okay. Because, like, again, if you're trying to satisfy this mandate, at what lengths are you willing to stop? Or will you stop? What lengths are you willing to go? And where would you actually stop to actually fulfill that mandate? Because, again, here's what you need to understand, guys. I think it's the same thing. Yeah, it is. Here's what you need to understand here. People, stupid, okay? And look, I say that all due respect. We are not those people, okay? If you're here, there's, you know, anywhere from 50 to 100 people watching right now. If you're here, you're not stupid. Okay, I'm not saying that. Well, I mean, some of you probably are, but like for the most part, if you made it here, you're probably not. Not because I have like a super overeducated audience, but if you went far enough to learn about crypto and actually get involved enough where you're trying to learn more, like you're at least a little bit more aware than most people. When I say people are dumb, you can have a mandate like this and rally support by saying the terrorists now have a way to fund terror in the United States, okay? Or whatever it is. So we need to pass this. And that's enough to rally, you know, John Q. Public, who's a dipshit, into being like, I did not enjoy 9/11. We should definitely pass this. You know what I mean? I just, yeah, there's so many fucking issues. And like, it is my Potato Lord. What's up, buddy? And I'm gonna keep going on this, and we'll just quick run through here and get back to the main point. But I used to be in management, so not only was I in sales and insurance, but I also managed people. I hired and I trained people for a long time. And my biggest issue always was like when I would talk to my bosses or my boss's bosses, they would talk about the way that we had to explain complex thoughts and ideas that were relevant to our business by reducing them to the lowest common denominator, essentially make them as easy to understand as possible so our worst performer wouldn't fuck it up. And I've always thought it's a terrible idea, right? Like, I don't manage to the lowest common denominator. I manage to my Ferraris. And if people who aren't Ferraris can't figure it out, then I get rid of them and try to find new ones, okay? And that's essentially, you know, how we govern. We govern to the lowest common denominator. Anyway, it's probably, you know, maybe the most interesting part of this Promote U.S. leadership in technology and economic competitiveness to reinforce U.S. leadership in the reinforce. Get the fuck out of here with that. U.S. leadership in the global financial system by directing the Department of Commerce to work across the U.S. government and establishing a framework to drive U.S. competitiveness and leadership in and leveraging of digital asset technologies. This framework will serve as a foundation for agencies and integrate this as a priority into their policy, research and development, and operational approaches to digital assets. Okay. You know, I'm not sure I agree with the premise of the statement, but, you know, it's not necessarily bearish. Promote equitable access to safe and affordable financial services by affirming the critical need for safe, affordable, and accessible financial services as a U.S. national interest that must inform our approach to digital asset innovation, including disparate impact risk, such as safe access, is especially important for communities that have long had insufficient access to financial services. Okay, hey guys, this has nothing to do with this. Bobby, I've sent you this link like 5 times, man. Like, I'll send it to you again, but hit all, zoom out. Here you go. Yeah, I don't want to go too far off the buzz here, but safe access and whatever. It's like the guise of protectionism and safety and whatever, like, you know, it is what it is. Everybody, if you're listening to this, you've probably heard my story about getting hacked, okay? And I lost a hell of a lot of money very publicly because I talked about it, and I was careless and I paid a massive price for that. Okay. Essentially a 7-figure price for that. And that sucked real bad. It was my fault though. Okay. Use of hot wallets, a little bit of carelessness with downloading programs, right? And that got me ripped, and that sucked. And that was my, like, I'm not, there's no recourse for that, right? When that was done, it was gone. It was never coming back. And I knew that. Did I file a report with the FBI? I did. Did I hire a digital forensics firm to see if those guys were stupid and sent their money somewhere where it could be frozen? I did. Yeah, dude, I did. In April, actually, I'm coming up on a year, 11 months ago, it happened. And what level of protectionism? Because, like, I never expect to get that back, nor should you, nor should anybody else. Yeah, no, guys, it sucked. It sucked bad. Like, that's not the point of me saying this. The point is, like, I have a very real take on this, and it was my own fault that happened. Right? But that's not typically how people respond to that stuff. It's victim. It's like, I could have been protected. Nobody told me that cryptocurrency was dangerous. Like, you hear that kind of shit. Like, no, I knew that. I fucked up badly. Okay? Badly. And I came out of it the other side through a community that helped pick me up, through some friends that helped me, right? That's right. It's the positives and the negatives with decentralization. And that's 100% true. And that's the cost of doing business, guys, because you know what? If you lose your password to Chase or to Bank of America or whatever, like, you just call them and prove who you are and they give you access again. But are you willing to take the trade-offs that level of protection provides? And, like, that's what they're trying to impose here. Like, I would say no. We just need to find better ways and help with education for people to not do what I did. Now, I have buddies that I'm onboarding onto crypto, and I'm like, look, if you want to get into this, if you want me to teach you about it, you're going to come to my house. I need you to buy these hardware wallets and a brand new laptop. And if you don't want to do that, then stay the fucking home. If you don't want to get a brand new laptop, if you don't want to get these hardware wallets I'm suggesting, and then come to my home where I can actually tell you exactly what you're getting into, I'm unwilling to help you. And what's wrong with that? Like, it sucks, but now you know, like, that's what's required to promote equitable and safe access. Why a brand new laptop? Because if your laptop is already compromised, you're probably fucked. And then I can share links like this. Let me see if I can paste this. Okay. I just pasted virustotal.com. VirusTotal, when I was talking to the digital forensics firm, is like, anytime you click on a link, anytime you click on an executable, send it here to VirusTotal. If there's anything that comes up as partially flagged, don't do it. So if you come to me with a blank laptop and I give you resources like this to say, before you download anything, I don't care what site it's from, run that shit through here. Then at least you feel good that you're not building up a massive pile of money to then be stolen one day, which is what happened to me, right? And just for the record, this is not me flexing, but like when people are like, oh man, sorry that happened to you. Like, me too. Like, I made it all back inside of 6 months. Okay. Which is just speaks to crypto and like working hard and having a network, which is insane that was able to happen. It was also, you know, a pretty nice market to be able to operate in, even though that was through the summer when things were terrible. So that's the beauty and the ugliness of crypto. Not only could I have made the money to begin with, but then I lost it and then I made it all back. Like, that's crazy that can happen. But like, I'm glad it happened now, not when 7 figures became 8, right? So gotcha. I guess if you're gonna bank on your own, in a sense, keeping shit clean, like, that's a pretty good idea. Stream came out of that. Well, actually, I was streaming before it happened, but yeah, I stopped streaming for like 2 months after having, because I was so like just pissed at myself. And here's my other, like, Dingeth says, gotcha. I guess if you're gonna bank on your own, in a sense, keeping that shit clean is a pretty good idea. It is, okay. So yeah, me too. Yeah, dude, we all were. I mean, I was close to walking away like 2 days after. And like Taxia and you guys and a lot of my other boys were like, dude, just fucking calm down. Like, just this too shall pass, will help you. And I was like, right on. So like, a lot of people helped me get back on my feet. And that's like why I'm so big on community and why I want to grow Stacked Labs, is so I can share these things that I've gone through and things that I've seen, so it doesn't happen to you. But back to my point with Dingeth is I was not using a hardware wallet at the time, or at least I was passing through my hardware wallets and keeping it a hot wallet. Made it very easy for them to steal from me, one. And two, you know, I was being a little bit careless with the programs that that I was downloading, even though I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, I'm not a dumb person, but I made a dumb mistake. Okay. I say all of that because essentially, if I had not kept my shit on a hardware wallet, $100 piece of hardware could have saved me a lot of money. Okay. So if it costs you $500 to get a new laptop, yeah, $500 isn't fun. But if you know for a fact that on that laptop, you do not ever download anything and it's 100% clear, then like, is the $500 for, let's call it $1,000 all in between hardware devices and, you know, whatever, you know, hardware devices and your laptop. Is that worth spending the money on so you are 100% safe? Yes. Okay. And then BAP made a point a little bit ago about multi-SIGs. What did he say? You can use a multi-SIG with geographically separated physical hardware devices. Problem solved. Yes. But you know what? Those solutions are not readily available yet. Right? Well, hold on. They're readily available. They're not readily understood. They're readily available, just not readily understood. Yes, I know he did. So anyway, support technological advances and ensure responsible development and use of digital assets by directing the U.S. government to take concrete steps to study and support technological advances in response to development, design, and implementation of digital asset systems while prioritizing privacy, security, and combating illicit exploitation and reducing negative climate impacts. First off, fuck you. Okay, of the things that we should be focusing on to do this, like, Bitcoin and proof of work crypto is not your concern. All right. And this is probably the one that's the most like Jesus. Explore a central bank digital currency by placing urgency on research and development of a potential US CBDC. Should issuance be deemed in the national interest? The order directs the U.S. government to assess the technological infrastructure and capacity needs for the U.S. central bank digital currency in a manner that protects Americans' interests. In a manner that protects Americans' interests. Pretty funny. The order also encourages the Federal Reserve to continue its research, development, and assessment efforts for the U.S. central bank digital currency, including development of a plan for broader U.S. government action. Blah, blah, blah. Multi-country experimentation. That's great. And eschews U.S. leadership internationally to promote. Okay. Now, that's interesting to me because, first off, we should be voting on chain. Okay. We should be voting like right now on chain. It is far more empirical and unable to be hacked if distributed the right way than anything else, right? Like voting in our political elections. It will never happen because, again, lowest common denominator, but it'd be a great onboarding to get people into crypto. John's question just now was, what impact do you think the US CBDC would have on crypto? Probably far away time-wise, but what do you think? I don't think it's far away time-wise. And quite frankly, if they actually came out with a central bank digital currency for the dollar, essentially made it digital and made everybody sign up on their smartphone to like, oh, we're giving out, tax credits, and they're immediately in your account right away, and they're just like automatically confirmed and sent to your banks. Like that's a massive adoption moment, okay? Because it forces you to learn about it a little bit more. And then when you're like, man, this is super fucked up. I wish there was something that would help me from not having my dollar decrease by 7% in value year over year. What does that look like? Oh, hey, Bitcoin's funny. How does that work? Well, okay, like it would actually probably provide a greater adoption tool. But I do think sincerely that privacy coins are about to have a massive run because whatever the outcome may be, I'm Variant, what's up, buddy? Whatever the outcome of these discussions may be, like there's far too many things that could happen negatively for people to not want to have their privacy maintained. BAP just said it. I don't want my votes public on chain. Yeah, that's fine. So use a privacy chain, but one that's verifiable, right? Same idea. And it wouldn't be the same place where you have your wallet where it's like, oh, BAP voted for, X candidate. And, oh, look, he's got $3 million. Like, it wouldn't be like that. Like a social but secret privacy that's only seen by one person, whatever it may be. At least we would end the narrative of bullshit, right? Well, I don't know how much money you have, so I was just making a number up. Hopefully I was low. Regardless, you can see what the market thinks of it, okay? Or the announcement was this. The details were this. So pretty clear to me that, one, it's at the very worst a stay of execution. And two, like, maybe this is a good thing. I will say, if it does not exist right now, we should create a DAO to fund lobbyists in Washington. No shit. You can't, it's very hard to raise money to give to a candidate directly. I know because I tried. You have to be like a single issue PAC to accept a certain form of digital currency and like give it away. Like it's very hard to do. Single issue PAC or super PAC. And that's hard. It's not hard to fund lobbyists. Those guys don't give a fuck. All they're doing is they're leveraging the relationship to get paid. So yeah, we should do that. We should raise money to get people that are crypto friendly, talking about it over the next 6 months when this shit happens. I'm saying 6 months arbitrarily. It could happen in 2 months, could happen in 2 weeks. But I get the feeling that this is not as clear-cut an issue as people are perhaps thinking. Now, Let's talk about actual TA for a second versus what just came out. I didn't actually know that came out. I literally got on stream and someone's like, hey, this is out. So if you have followed or are involved in or have spent time trading, why are these numbers significant? Why are those numbers significant if you've ever spent time in TA, trading, or whatever? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Each time you're essentially asking the supply to prove it, that they're there. Each time it gets tapped, it gets exhausted on either side. So that's why usually the axiom is like 4 to 6 times or 4 to 5 times or 5 to 6 times, depending on what you look at. No one ever says more than 6. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 5, but it's like a standard deviation, then a standard deviation, right? Like if it's 68%, going to break at 5, then it's like 99% or 98 whatever percent. It's going to happen at 6. And so we're at this point where it sold once, it sold twice, it sold a third time, sold a fourth time. And like, quite frankly, like you guys heard me yesterday in my fucking Telegram room, I was like, I'm hedged right here. And I thought for sure we were at the very worst going to go to 35.5 or 35 flat and probably lower than that. So shows you what I know. The point was I was just playing the end of it where I was like, this looks like shit. You know, Ukraine's not looking great, whatever. And really the things that turn it around were, one, this news coming out, and then 2, Ukraine saying we'll take off the requirement that, you know, we want to be able to join NATO. And so like them saying that we don't have to join NATO to end this conflict made a lot of people go, okay, fuck, that's better because we didn't see a way out of this. Like if the way out was NATO and Russia was saying, if you join NATO, we're going to nuke you. And everyone's going like, is this dude that crazy? Like that is a lot of uncertainty. So them saying that like, there's a way out of this without them necessarily joining NATO. And that's Ukraine saying that. That was a big deal. So that was like your first pump, and then like this leak and all that other bullshit came out too. So you got a couple things that were pretty positive. Yeah, so this is actually not a bullish structure. This is not a bullish structure. Anytime you see these sort of like wedging patterns, it's not really a wedge. Like a rising wedge looks like this. Okay, it's the same idea, but one, it's not flat line and angled line. Oh shit, my head's in the way. Sorry. That's a rising wedge where like things are moving up. That's also bearish. So it's more of just like a, you know, ascending triangle, I guess, where you have a line and then this is like gradually bringing the shit closer to the head. Yeah, by the way, yeah, Luna is $103 right now, which is absurd. But you know what? Very bullish for JUNO. Very bullish for JUNO. So I, you know, if we actually get up here and test, I think we break it. And I would probably say, like, obviously 46.2 isn't that big of a rip, but I would say probably first target would be 47.3 and second would be 50. Second would be 50. So, you know, if we get this breakout, pretty hardcore. What was the yearly open, Kaz? You know I don't check that shit. I can just turn it on. Okay. So yeah, that is the yearly open number. I guess I can just take off the quarterly. There you go. So essentially, yeah, the number that I had on there anyway. Yeah, Bobby, that's what we were talking about. So essentially, every time a level is touched, it becomes weaker. But here's the thing: it's not all sunshine and fucking lollipops right now, because you also got 4 down here, and this is technically a more bearish pattern. To have this kind of wedging up into flat resistance is typically bearish, and usually breaks from the downside, not the top. Which is why I was hedged the other day. So yeah, it's sketchy, but I don't see a reason why we would stop anytime soon. There's technically no reason for this not to at least get to 44 right now. So short of some crazy news coming out of this war, or I don't even know, because like we got the details on this legislation now, so there's really nothing to say about that. I can't see a way that we don't test 44 from here. Yeah, you're right. But I still think that that's between now and tomorrow morning. That's really not a huge gap to make up to that point. So you could see, all right, close here, up here, CPI numbers are terrible, and straight down, right? But at this point, I'm not exactly sure. And like, there's an element of wiggle room being offered with the decisions they're making on on inflation, on quantitative easing, and like how much we've been able to handle it so far. And I don't know what it is. I know that gas is crazy expensive, but now you can actually spin a narrative to explain that away, to be like, well, I mean, yeah, of course gas has gone up month over month. There's a war going on, and like that's not why it's happening, but it's enough to create a rally. I've had in my notes that when we get to May, like I'm out. Or at least I'm hedging. And this might be the fuel. So yeah, get us up pretty high. Pretty high. By the way, I missed Wild Cardian, cautious of these ascending triangles. BTC has a tendency to fake breakdown first and then go up if it's bullish. You're right. Yeah, I mean, so I didn't notice your comments till now, Wild Cardian, my bad. Usually I see first time comments a little bit faster. But it's a good point. Gas prices up, but Russia has not decreased its output, so why up? Well, people hoard in anticipation of things. Yep. People hoard. Every time I drive past a gas pump, I drive in and I fill up. I don't personally, but like that's what people do. And the news of the USA saying we'll no longer accept Russian imports makes it price go up here, because people think, okay, there's gonna be less supply, I should go buy some. I drive a car that has premium gas. It's not fun right now. But it is what it is. So I think we'll see this. But yeah, CPI tomorrow at, what time is it? Pull it up. $7:30 a.m. Central. 7:30 a.m. Central. 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Kaz will still be asleep. So Kaz will set his stop losses before going to bed. Or whatever. Yeah, I do remember negative oil. That shit was nuts. That shit was way nuts. Somebody asked me to confirm if there's a divergence daily on Ethereum. Kind of. Okay. Well, why do you say kind of? Because that was pretty close to the zero line. And it covered the 50, which is usually the first target on this. And that's where we are now anyway. So it kind of looks like it is. It probably is. But really the big point for me is this, you know, DTL, right? If we don't actually, I mean, look, 1, maybe 2, 3, now we're here at 4. It's like, if we can't pop this thing again, then that's not great. And if you remember, I streamed on this day, the 3rd, and said, you know, losing a breakout attempt means we're coming here. And I literally put a magnet on my chart to right here. And look where we went. You go down and ran some stops, people who got long here, and, you know, right back to this key point on Ethereum. Right back here. This is really the chart that matters to me more. I actually didn't realize that this is where it is, so I'm not really fucking around with Ethereum right now, but like, this looks really bad for Ethereum. So any sort of really negative movement on price right now, you're probably going to see Ethereum lose a level. And the level here is like 0.06 from 0.065. That's a big deal. Tell you why. You lose 7% in value versus Ethereum. In reality, if we lose that, I actually expect us to get down to here, which is more like losing 17% of value to Ethereum. All right, so BAP, you laugh about that. I was peddling that theory a little bit because the biggest issue with people understanding crypto is like Bitcoin doesn't do anything. It doesn't. It's a store of value. It's a digital store of value, right? But the cool shit's being developed on Ethereum, and that's probably where you get more people in. It's on Ethereum. Then it turns out that Ethereum sucks, like, massively. It does, and it's actually great. It's great, and they're moving. Yeah, ETH 2.0, dude. I heard something yesterday. We fully expect ETH 2.0 to roll out in June. All right. I'll believe that when I see it. But, yeah, ETH 2.0 is the narrative, I guess. Yeah, Ethereum sucks. Even though gas right now is like 40. What is it? At 46. It's so cheap. I actually bought Ethereum on chain yesterday after I closed my hedge because I was like, if this is going to break out, I should take this cash that I have and buy. It was unbelievable. It cost like $4 for a transaction at the time. It was like 28 or 31 Gwei. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think that you're pretty much destined for this level on any sort of volatility. And it might not even necessarily be downside volatility. Right now, I do not see a reason at this moment to own Ethereum. Unless you're trading NFTs, and even then, I would just buy what I need to buy, you know, to create that transaction. I do not see a reason to own Ethereum at this moment. Because if things are going up, it's going to look like this. You can see, all right, they're up 9%, and Ethereum's up 2.5%. Ethereum lost 2.5% today to Bitcoin on good news. Yeah, NFTs are dead right now. It makes me very sad. It's hard for me to see this happening with Luna and not think that we're going to get this finally playing out to the top side on Atom. Which, if it does, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Hold on. Are they talking Sol 2.0 right now? Is that a thing? All right. That's too bad because it'd be pretty funny if we did. Yeah, I mean, so Adam, again, sitting right on the precipice of another breakout. If it happens, probably goes to 40. Probably goes to 40. and then it would probably consolidate sideways if market conditions are good. And the breakout is probably 60. So in a Cosmos just giving 0 fucks about the market, dude, Karcher is unreal, man. It is unreal how good JUNO has been, how much money is still flowing in. JUNO's 44.50 right now. We 4x'd as the market went down 50%. We 4x'd as the market went down 50%. The JUNO BTC chart, if there is one that exists, has to be hysterically funny. And it's not stopping. Raw is going to start like imminently. As soon as it's done, they're going to rip it, which will be amazing. And so much more that's coming. It's like, yeah. So given the money that's coming in, the biggest issue I think probably right now the biggest issue right now, I think with Adam, like no joke, is Evmos had all this buzz and hype. Even like the Ethereum maxis were excited about it. We're like, oh sweet man, an EVM on Cosmos, let's go. And like they fucked that up so massively. Like I kind of laugh. JUNO BTC is 11x since December. That's absurd. Yeah, rec drop got wrecked. Like, so are they gonna rec drop people who got, you know, wrecked by the rec drop? Are they gonna add that in for the relaunch or whatever they're doing? I mean, it's hard for me to not sit here and laugh about it because, as I've said before, the whole point of Cosmos is like a superior infrastructure to Ethereum. Truly, it is. And so you have like this ability to operate interchain. And bringing on Evmos is like, all right, we're going to get less security, more issues, and yeah, we'll be able to move interchain. But I essentially, when I looked at it, said the way that this is probably going to go is people are going to get on and use it because it's what they know. And then the moment that they do, they're going to go to JUNO. Or they're going to go somewhere else where it's not restricted by the bullshit engine you put underneath Evmos. Yeah, I put no money into it. I never claimed what I got. I didn't stake any of it. Like, I didn't really care. Because in my opinion, Evmos is some shit you sell. Now, might it have a rip? Yeah, there's money behind that project. There are VCs behind that project. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Expectations on Raw, I really don't have any. I got to see where they landed on everything. What happens to Cosmos Eco when Atom breaks all-time highs? Everything levels up. Which, by the way, I remember that for AVAX. Okay? We early adopted AVAX, which was sweet. Like we got in September or whatever before it was cool to get on AVAX, and like we were in like $20, $22 on AVAX. And every time like AVAX got to that point of breaking out, or even just like leveled up to where it previously was, the entire ecosystem inflated. And then when they actually went into price discovery, the entire ecosystem inflated again. So it's very fun. But here's what I'll caution you about with Cosmos, even though it's not a linear example of what I'm about to give. When you see Atom leveling up, everyone's going to think they're a genius. Everyone is going to think they're a genius because everything's going to move up. So not falling in love with a bullshit project that's doing a multiple because like you're just riding the rising tide and like understanding what actually has value is very difficult. And I saw a lot of people get absolutely rogered when the dust settled on AVAX. Okay. So that's what I would caution you. That's not exactly linear because on AVAX, everything was technically denominated in AVAX. So therefore, when AVAX broke out, again, like half of the equation was going up, therefore price goes up, right? That's how that shit works. So it doesn't even have to like add buy pressure in order to do it. It just naturally goes up, which is sweet. But not everything is denominated in Atom. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. However, if you've been watching this at all, when Atom is up, people just become more risk on in alts within the ecosystem, even though logically it doesn't have to happen. People are just used to that from other chains. And like I've had this thought about JUNO all along, and I'm like, you know, if Atom takes a shit, it doesn't necessarily mean that JUNO's going to go down because technically they're not related in price. Like, yes, I think the largest liquidity pool is probably JUNO Atom on Osmo, right? So like that would have an impact, but there's a fairly substantial UST market as well. So you could arb that, or you could help reduce that volatility if you wanted to, because it is not that linear. And that's what market makers do. Any alpha leak on Netta? No. So Luna is like NR6 in market cap right now. What does it even do? Who even uses it besides Anchor? How does JUNO or Atom not deserve that place 100 times more? I don't know. I mean, I sold Marble. That turned out to be the right move. As for Luna, the ability to peg like it is, the ability to create a stable coin that is just like easily pegged in and out is a big deal. All right, loses peg, you know, buy more, goes above peg, sell more, you know, and it kind of like self-manages. And like now you have that backing from like 3AC and that other announcement from like Multicoin or whatever that said that we're going to put in, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure that during times of volatility, there is no risk to UST. Dextros, yeah, I will in a second. So there's value in that because it helps stabilize an entire ecosystem, which means that people want to have their tokens denominated in a stable coin versus another token for the reasons that I just explained on AVAX, right? And for that, I'm like, if your trading pair is another crypto, that sucks, right? Because now you have an additional liability that's outside of your control for the sake of your project, right? So that really is, you know, the reason for it. The other thing that I would say is, like, I actually have transacted on Luna a little bit. It's not bad. Like, mirror on there, synthetic assets, pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. I'm not to the point where I'm willing to like load real money into that yet because I want to see, you know, what they continue to add, and I don't really understand how they're secured, but like Mirror does a better job of synthetics than Snacks does, SNX. So there are things over there that are fun. Like, and if you go to Terra Station or the Terra Explorer or whatever and look at the apps that they have, there's a lot of them. They're kind of fun to mess around with. So it's not that like Terra is only UST and Anchor. There is other shit. The problem is like there was been so much looking at there's so much looking at UST and so many eyes going, is this thing on peg? Is it not going to peg? What happens if there's a Black Swan event? Somebody, I forget who it was, came out with like if Luna goes below $40, then there will be a whirlwind cascade effect that's going to completely destroy probably the entire Terra ecosystem, maybe even all of the Cosmoverse, and it could extend to other chains where it's on Ethereum and it's on Solana. Like, that's a big deal. So all anybody ever focuses on is UST, but there's more going on Luna than UST. So, you know, tell me when to 8 more Netta. You know what I did do? I actually am LPing a decent amount right now on Osmo of my Netta. Like, I think I took 20 of my netta over there to do it. Because it's 145% APR. And like, I'm deluding myself by telling you guys this. But like, netta's a longer term hold for me anyway. So I don't give a shit. And it's just printing massively every day. It's like 14 days, like whatever. It should come pretty close to paying for itself. And what do I use the yield to do? Buy more netta. Okay, so like it's a nice little flywheel effect that continues to spin itself up. So I didn't do it for the longest time, but an 80-20 LP with pretty massive APR on an asset that's appreciating, meaning you're getting paid out in Osmo, and Osmo continues to do well or go up, particularly even relative to netta. There's a lot of reasons why that makes sense. So it's another income stream that I use to buy more netta. That's all the alpha I can give you. They're still figuring out the next step, but it's coming. Yeah, quite frankly, I need to look into raw again. I need to talk to some of my contacts to be like, help me understand this so I can help other people understand it. I don't know exactly how they're planning on doing this. I know that I like the fact that they're not paying out rewards in JUNO, because it helps keep JUNO only diluted by this here versus actual LP incentives. But you know, I don't really understand it as well as I probably should have, or should. Like, I have a theory about what it's going to be, but that's literally my own theory. And I don't really care because I know I'm going to be included in the snapshots, right? And by the way, yes, I am doing superfluid staking on Atom and Osmo, and that is super sick, dude. It's super nice to get both those yields on assets that I think will continue to appreciate until there's a reason to think that 2022 is going to stop being the year of the cosmos, right? Like, I like Atom, I like Osmo, I like JUNO, I like stars. So John and Nibbler are having a conversation in the comments about, I like it, I need UST and Osmo to go super fluid next. And you said, yeah, that'd be nice. I think it's coming to a lot of pools. What I'm actually more interested in is, are other chains going to allow you to do the same thing? Okay. Because like, I'll be honest, if JUNO said, hey, we're going to institute superfluid staking on JUNOSwap, I'd be like, I'm in. I'm in 100%. You tell me you're going to give me 90% of my staking credits and I can actually get LP incentives as well and help liquidity on JUNOSwap, I'm here for it. So I'm more curious to see if that's going to happen, where it, like, superfluid right now is an Osmo exclusive. It was essentially Sunny's thing, but isn't going to go cross chain. Speaking of which, while I still have you guys here, tomorrow at, I think 1:30, tomorrow 1:30 Central Time, Jack is back. Jack Zamplin's back. So if you remember, it's probably my most viewed video on YouTube. That interview that Rob Highlander and I had with Jack from a couple weeks ago. We ran out of time and he said, well, let's go back and do a Q&A. So this stuff that's coming up in the chat right now, very good questions. Like, I'll ask him. If there's anything else we want me to ask, I will, because, you know, he is a part of essentially every major fucking app chain on Cosmos. And you may have seen, I got into like that little bit of like a back and forth with one of the devs at Avalanche who was like, Tenant BFT won't allow scaling. That's why you need to have Avalanche's proprietary consensus machine if you actually want to scale significantly. And I tagged Jack in it and was like, your thoughts, former VP of product at Tendermint? And he said, let's talk about it on Thursday. So that's what we're doing. If you have other questions, let's talk about it. Because I have questions. But I assume that you all do too. And this is really nice. It looks really good. I'm about to go all in Atom with my stables. I wouldn't do that. So I'm glad you brought that up, X, because I was talking to somebody earlier about, you know, if you miss the dip on Bitcoin, what do you do? Do you buy here or wait? And my honest opinion right now is if you buy here, I would sell here. Okay. So if you bought here, 42.2, when we got to here, 44, or even had a wick into like 44.5 or 45, I would sell it. And then if you get a sustained breakout over this area, I'd buy it back. Well, that's pretty dumb. Why would you do that? Well, it's because resistance is resistance till proven otherwise. And if there is a breakout, it'll be pretty obvious. And let me give you a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a tip as to why I closed out my hedge yesterday. Okay. I essentially said that I hedged here, right? So I was hedged at just about, actually, I wasn't anywhere close to that. It was this rejection that I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to lock in this hedge. My hedge was about 39K. And then I saw it come all the way down and I was like, we are right here to where some bad news can kick this thing completely off the ledge. But I was literally sitting here last night watching this string of candles and I posted it, closing my hedge. I closed it at 39.5. Right there. Okay. I closed, actually it was like 39.4, 39.5. So I took a loss, $500 loss, which was not a lot of money because I don't use leverage. But look what ended up happening. I said my stop was going to be 40. I knew that based on these candles and what was happening, that it was going to break out. It was pretty clear. I did actually long it too, but not a lot. I just had a conditional market trigger over this level to go. So it did. But you can see this sort of upward momentum. And you go, well, what is that relevant? Or why is that relevant? Why are you even bringing that up right now? Well, let me tell you. Because I watched this attempt, and 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 they were weak as fuck. Okay, they were very weak. And you could tell that they were weak attempts, and that they were not looking great. So if we get here and you take profits and you start to see that sort of like ascending price action where there's like, all right, there's volume coming in we haven't seen before, then reopen your position. Who cares? Who cares? Do I pay attention to wick off? Yes, I do. Yeah, not as much as I should, but I do. Let me pull up another good entry on JUNO. Well, this isn't even accurate, so that's nice. Because we are 44.50. You know what, man? It's really hard for me to give you like a good entry on JUNO right now, Bobby, because like we've been talking about it for so long that it's like, I would dollar cost average in. If you want to place in JUNO now, you're not going to get a like no-brainer lay down long area. Yeah, you're just not. So I would find a place that you like and I would DCA. So I'm here. If it dips, add some more. If it dips, add some more. If it goes up, add some more. Like, you just got to kind of average your way in, because I don't think you'll see a like, oh my God, it's down to $30. I should definitely load up. Like, that's a huge retrace. Right guy's right. There's so little selling pressure, it's hard to say it will retrace to a certain point. I mean, that's really it. I was talking to some friends about this the other day, and I said, essentially, as long as this number is still increasing, I don't really see a reason to be bearish. Still. I waited to get a JUNO since it was $15 and never got it. Finally pulled the trigger a week or two ago. It's sub 39s and it's going well so far. Right, yeah, you really haven't been tested a whole lot on that. So Bobby says, thanks y'all. So used to those face melting corrections, but we're so early. That's why Juno's unique, right? The worst thing about Juno is that whale. And he unstaked 279,000 Juno, literally like $13 million worth of Juno. And then he restaked all but like 19,000 Juno of it. And is not unbonding anything right now. He's not unbonding anything right now. So he literally, he took out $13 million and he restaked almost all of it. Other than that, like there is no VC, there is no counterparty, there's no place to even take a short position on it right now. Like there's no reason to sell it. And so many people, look, 38.5% of circulating supply is staked, it's bonded right now. That's fucking crazy. Fuck VC indeed. By the way, John Jen says my average on Juno is so low that I just don't care about the price. Exactly. Like my average entry is under $10. I don't care. Right? I don't care. Every day I get an absurd yield on Juno. Sometimes I sell it depending on what's going on. Sometimes I restake it. Yeah, Crack Cursor dude, we've been talking about Juno in here since November. Since November. It's been super fashionable for people to talk about Juno lately, but we've been talking about it in here since November. Kaz and I talked about it. He got in December when it was $13, and everyone's like, oh shit, I don't know, man. That's up 30% from when Jared and those other guys got in. So, but you know, whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is. Lack of research. That's a problem. You know, my big thing with this all along has been anybody I've met that's actually looked into it has been like, holy shit, this looks really good. Once you actually look at tokenomics, once you actually look at what they're trying to do, once you understand what Cosmwasm is, like, your brain kind of does the rest. Another bull div on the S&P 500. Targets the 50-day. This will close active today, assuming something crazy doesn't happen. So, Adam, I stake with Debo. I stake with Debo on Adam because their description of their validator, like if you click on each one of them, it'll like tell you like what they do and whatever. And their description was "let's exit scam," which I thought was hysterically funny, and that's what got me to stake with Debo for Adam. For Osmo, I stake with SG1 because SG1 is Tosh and Wolf and some of those other 14-1 guys. So, you know, I trust them enough. Yep. Luna's very impressive. Remember when it was Matic season for like a minute? I'm pretty excited to ask about I didn't see that one. Ape Crypto. I didn't see that yet. So if you send it to me, then I'll look at it. That's pretty funny though. Vampire squid named after Biden. I'm pretty excited to ask Jack about the whole mainnet subnet concept on AVAX, because like that, I don't have it in here anymore, but those screen grabs I used when I was talking to him was essentially a meme talking about why subnets make a lot of sense and why like having separate chains within a universe makes a lot of sense. And Jack commented with, yes, the IBC thesis, put another way, and Amin got pissed about it and whatever. So this mainnet subnet idea with AVAX is what Amin was setting up, and like now we're here. A lot of these charts look juicy once the diagonals break. The short liquidation cascades are going to be nice. I just want to make sure that like we're all on the same page here. I agree with you. That it could get out of hand real quick. Ugh. Extinct vampire squid-like cephalopod with 10 arms named after Joe Biden. Yikes, dude. It's kind of badass, though, to be honest. Fittingly, the species was found fossilized. Yeah, I agree. So anyway, what I was saying, Potato Lord, is I agree with you. A lot of these things do look really good, and that things could improve rapidly, if you get a break out of those diagonals. However, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. Like, I don't think we're like, hey, we made it. So, be careful. Wait for confirmation before you start YOLOing into alt. I pulled it up earlier. You probably just signed off. Kind of. The problem is it's so close to like this reset line right here that it really isn't. So I would honestly say no. It's not a valid one for my purposes. However, it's still happening at the critical juncture of this diagonal. So I would just say, like, if we get the diagonal breakout and it can take out these highs here, then you feel pretty good about at least a run to 3,400, maybe even higher. But I would not call that a bull div. I mean, it has similar structure, but it just would be less powerful. So one that I would place a lot of emphasis on, and I would actually look at things like this to be a greater indicator. So if that doesn't make sense, you can just ping me and I'll explain what I mean in Telegram. Chubacopy says, how can you be out of the woods with a massive fucking war going on? People too eager to gamble their shit. It's exactly right? Like, all it takes is like one crazy bad news event, and like all this work that's been done is erased. And oh, by the way, guys, we talked about this last time, and I realized that people don't actually remember shit that I say a lot of times, so whatever. It's cool. This area is easy. See this like dearth of volume? It's been shown 1, 2, kind of 3, 4, 5, 6 times, just shredding through there. Because there's very little participation at these levels, even if you go back further. Like, there's still, even through last summer, there's still this area, which is where these huge candles come from. Which is why, if you get this breakout, jumping to that yearly open line is pretty logical. Because again, lack of interaction here, right? And there's another one. Okay, so knowing where people have interacted with price the longest and the most is worth noting. You have there, and then obviously on a lower time frame here. But so you can see massive moves through these areas like fairly quickly. It's why it is very easy to be a shorter right now, but like you need to short into power. You need to short into days like today because you are sitting in a situation where it would not be that hard to just absolutely face melt shorters. Like a breakout from here, I mean, it could rip to 52K like it's nothing. A $9,000 rip. And it wouldn't even really change much. Like getting, you know, like it could just go to there. And it would liquidate a lot of late shorters. So. This div on the NQ actually looks nicer. Okay. Why are we doing well today? Well, hey, because the dollar took a shit. Right at the underside where we thought it would. Got to 99.40. Now we're coming back down. Okay. Guess what? That's probably now support. Probably now support. So I would love to see a breakdown and like a run back down to here. Yes, Ape. The strength of the signal is directly correlated to the time frame. Since I haven't done it in a while, we got the top here on a div. I very publicly caught the bottom here on a div. I talked about the top here, and then this one failed, but it wasn't as strong. But literally, these divs on daily, called the top, called the bottom, called the top, should have been the bottom, failed, and then turned and ripped anyway. So, yeah, I think it's pretty positive. And by the way, go back to my streaming history, man. Go on YouTube. I talked about every single one of these as they were happening. Every single one of them. It's honestly one of those things that makes me less bullish about where we are, because look where we're just fucking around in the we haven't decided which way we're gonna go yet. This is a no trend formation on the MACD. It's just bouncing up and down between zero line, which is what a range looks like. That's what a range looks like. You just kind of oscillate back and forth. And this is a ranging pattern. So, to put a bow on this, and then I'm going to leave because I got shit I got to do today. Right now, we are in a range. We'll continue to be in range until it breaks out. But whichever way it breaks out, that move is not going to be fun for the opposing party. That move is not going to be fun for the opposing party, whether it be shorters or longers, bulls or bears. However we break out of this range, I'm guessing it is either a change in trend or a continuation of the previous trend, and it's not going to be a small move. So let's all knock on wood, or, you know, pray to your spirit animal or whatever god you pray to that it's up, but be prepared for it to be down. I did see something the other day that was actually one of the better posts on Twitter. I don't think I tweeted it, but I do want to show you this. And this might be the most bullish thing that I have for you right now. Okay? We always talk about maintaining your perspective, right? We talked about it down here where I was like, are you telling me that you would short this down here? Are you telling me that you would short the lows on Bitcoin when it's inverted? And a lot of you were like, fuck, no, I wouldn't. And sure enough, that was the top. Well, look at the inverted now. Do you really want to long this here? I'm not sure you do. There's more resistance here. There's resistance there. I mean, yeah, if you can get past that point, you're probably going to 20K at least, but do you really want to long this up here? It's a minus EV play. So like the best thing about it is that right now. Because no, I would not long this up here. Like it's a shit. Like you're essentially saying, yes, I would long it. I didn't realize I'd have to use the short button here, but it does stand a reason. So like your best case scenario is, what is that? Where's my fucking, why are my templates fucked up? Okay, so that's 4 to 1. Or you know what I'm saying? That probably makes more sense. It probably makes more sense from a, like, if you're actually looking at this objectively perspective. Hard to short the lows, easier to long the lows and sell the top and the other way around. That's just like common, but so I'll leave you with this. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll address it before I go. But what I would say is we are in a range. I think we'll retest this area. But tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., you're going to see some crazy volatility. So if you have a trade on, get it off before that happens and be ready to react. Have a plan for either way and how you plan on playing it. That is what I would suggest to you. Have a plan. Don't be in a position, certainly not a leverage position. At 7:30 a.m. Central Time, the year-over-year inflation numbers come out. So to take that another step, Crack Cursor, is, yeah, it is. So essentially, if inflation is accelerating and continuing to get out of control, then they're almost certainly going to be as aggressive as they talked about with raising rates, and perhaps even more aggressive at raising rates, which is very good for the dollar, very bad for Bitcoin. So this is very funny to me that like Schiff was essentially, look at this fucking candle on gold. Look at this. Pretty funny. QE did stop, or is, well, here's the thing, it's been being reduced month over month, so I don't know if it's done or whatever, but I am still holding out hope. Like the best case scenario for me is inflation isn't as bad as they thought. Maybe QE is done, honestly don't know. I know it's been decreasing, so I've kind of forgotten about it. And we get like a nice couple month rip before some more blood. Yeah, QE's never done. You're right. Later on, I'll do a video about how the government manipulates people because everyone knows more taxes sucks. Okay? and people will rally against taxes. People don't like additional taxes. People don't like additional taxes no matter how much money you make, whether you're rich or you're poor. People don't like taxes. So they don't. Instead, they just inflate the currency, which is effectively like another form of tax. Because if your dollar buys 7% less today than it did a year ago today, guess what? The government is the one doing that. They printed all that shit out. They essentially just collected a 7% tax on that. So this is why people are dumb, right? You can just manipulate them by being like, oh, no, we're not going to raise taxes. We're just going to inflate the fuck out of the currency. All right, so yeah, you guys should check this out. Bap, post that in the chat room so people can come see it. I do think I watched this one of yours, but it's a great point, right? Like, it's hidden taxation. Because you know what? This is my last thing, and I'll go, because I swear to God, I'll talk for the next hour about this. Look at inflation since the 1980s to now. And look how much they've changed the tax brackets from the 1980s to now. They really haven't. So if your employer has to keep up with inflation by paying you more because your dollar is going down, but the government doesn't adjust income bracket taxes, what's actually happening, guys? What's actually happening? You're paying more taxes. Okay? That, like, I'm not saying something to you that you didn't know, right? Like, I hope everybody fucking knows that. But yeah, inflation, controlled inflation is a tool of the government. Yeah, living expenses go up. Your employer has to stay in line with that, but tax threshold levels have remained the same, and your dollar buys less. It's a hidden tax. When your dollar does not go as far as it used to, it's not you looking at your tax returns going, fuck, I had to pay a lot more money. It's another way of doing it because they know. Bill Clinton being like, it's all about the economy, stupid. The era of big government is over. We're going to stop taxing you quite as much. Like, that was a big deal for a Democrat to say that. But they just did it a different way, right? They inflated the fuck out of the currency. So, I hope you guys know that. And this isn't like me being a conspiracy theorist, just think about it. Go look at the tax brackets over time. Go look at the tax brackets over time and be like, oh my God, this is fucked up. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And that's the most linear thing for you to see. But right now, guys, with inflation at 7 to 8% a year, if you are an American, you're essentially paying an additional 7% tax year over year, right now. So whatever you're paying right now, add 7% to it, or 8, or 9, or 10. Controlled inflation is the best tool of the government because they can essentially take money from you without you really realizing it. Kaz says SPX 3-day. That's, you know, the ES. Yeah, there's a daily div, man. It looks really, really tight. Looks really good. Daily div looks good. It's an undershoot of this level. 3-day looks legit. Weekly looks legit. I mean, there's demand down here. So yeah, it looks pretty good. NQ actually, I mean, they can't decide. You can tell. Wick. Like, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, because ES is traded 24/7 and SPX is only traded during standard market hours. ES is actually the better chart to watch than it is SPX. But, I mean, functionally, it's the same thing. You could call this on the 3-day on SPX a big double bottom pattern. 1, 2. If you actually get this like punch down and reclaim, you could easily justify this as a triggered long here to the other side of the range. That's a trade worth taking if it happens. And Bitcoin to the moon. So, yeah. Good stuff there. All right, kids, been an hour and a half. Any last questions before we go? By the way, I know I have not picked a winner yet for Juno. I'm going to give out Juno. I'm going to hopefully do it today. It is down to Karcher and Willix as the 2. And I might just split it between the 2 of you. There's another guy who talked about the whale, which quite frankly is bothering me. So I might toss it to him. And then I need somebody to help me out on how I pick random winners on people who retweeted that announcement. So if somebody knows how to do that, please let me know. Well, he's not bothering me, but in reality, it's the best case for Juno not being great. Twitter picker, that's the thing? Twitter picker? Fuck yeah, dude. Abe, I'm gonna hit you up on Telegram. I'm gonna hit you up on Telegram to talk about that. Yeah, XXT, it's coming, man. It's coming. So the biggest thing for Juno, the whale doesn't really bother me at all. The fact that one person just gamed the ecosystem and now has that much control on a network that they had nothing to do with very much pisses me off. And it's bad. Like, that guy theoretically can buy every single validator, right? Like King Nodes, or whoever that was who popped into the Telegram the other day, he was like, I don't know, man, he's not that bad. Like, he's been a friendly whale and he hasn't done anything malicious, so I think we should cut him a break, which is a very good point, right? Like, you're right, he's been pretty much good, but you know what? King Nodes makes $45,000 a month from just that guy. He makes $45,000 a month from the whale as a validator. So you know what, man? I'm not sure I would want $500,000 in income to go away either. Right? So right there, you can see that he essentially bought King Nodes. He bought King Nodes by staking to him. Because he makes 45 G's a month in his commission off the whale. And he owns essentially the top like 40 validators now. Except for our boy Highlander, who is incorruptible. So that really is the issue with the whale, is that whale controls so much of floating supply that they can influence any votes that they wanted, and they're buying the validators. He's buying the validators. How many Juno does he have and what can be done about it? I don't know. Well, he has like 3 million. He has 100. Fuck, I'll pull it up. We're going to do it. Might as well do it. He has $138 million in Juno that he stole. He has $138 million in Juno that he stole. I'm flashbanging myself here for effect. $138 million on an airdrop. Okay. Here's King Nodes right here. He makes $500,000 a year. He makes $500,000 a year. So, yeah, the guy hasn't done anything yet. And you know what, man? I don't mind adding $500,000 a year to my bottom line. So, yeah, fuck him. He can stay. Right? And look, he didn't buy SG1 because that's Wolf and Tosh. He's doing that to be nice. Stakefish, Omniflex, Sentinel, Cosmo Station, Figment, Stakecito. And these people are all making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the whale. And so when someone asks what can be done, the validators theoretically could, you know, slash this dude. They could do something. But, you know, they're all getting rich off this dude's commission. So in reality, it probably is the largest bear case. So I might just split it among the people that actually had like real things to say, because like, yeah, this is easily the worst thing about Juno. Now that I kind of understand this more, I mean, dude literally owns the network. This is King Nodes dropped into our room to talk about like he's not that bad. Okay. There's 309,000 Juno being staked to him right now. $500,000 a year at current prices, and I think price goes up. I wouldn't turn down that payday either, guys. Like, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like, if I was getting $500,000 from somebody, no, but you know what you can do? I'll share this fucking link. What do I care? You can go to unbondings. He's not unbonding anything right now, but like that 28-day countdown would show up here. So click on this. And if you see him start to unbond, then, you know, grab your ankles and buckle up, because this dude could wreck the entire network if he wanted to. It's super fucked up that is the current case. That dude, like, it is not outside of the realm of possibility for JUNO to 10x from here, in my opinion. Like, I gave you guys my estimate on what I think could happen with JUNO in the future. Okay. And I don't think 10x is out of control from here. That means that this dude would have stolen $1 billion. He would have stolen $1 billion. It would go down as the largest heist short of those two dipshits in New York. It'd be like the Bitfinex hack, kind of, in a project. Because this guy's a fucking scumbag. Okay? So, how'd he steal it? So he essentially created a program to make himself thousands of wallets and stake the minimum amount when he knew about what the fair drop was going to be. Okay? So he essentially just, all right, I know this is going to happen. I know they're trying to be super decentralized. I'm a greedy fuck. And then I'm going to just have a program write me out a ton of accounts. I'm going to send and stake to all of them. So I make sure I get this. I'm going to consolidate them all. So, like, did he steal it? No, he technically didn't do anything wrong. But, like, at the same time, like, this dude who's done nothing to help the project, he's just a fucking leech, owns more than the team, than the people who are actually pulling this together. And that's fucked up. So, yeah. Dude could easily become a billionaire on JUNO. Do you like that? I don't. Because he's a scumbag. It's super fucked. It's super fucked up. If he really wanted to ingratiate himself to the community, you know what he should do? He should voluntarily burn 80% of it. 80% of it, he should voluntarily burn it. He should burn $80 million in JUNO liquidity right now. You still are going to keep more. And look, by the way, this guy sells half of his yield every day. Okay. And if a validator makes $500,000 a month on this guy, imagine what his actual yield is. So this dude every day right now makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars every day, and sells half of it and restakes the rest of it. So it's not like he hasn't eaten extraordinarily well. But in my opinion, he should burn 80% of his stack. If not, I think this is going to hang on the head of JUNO for a long time. He's making $300,000 a day. He's making $300,000 a day. Uh-huh. Yeah. So anyway, I can't really, now that I'm talking about this, I can't like ignore that guy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give to all three of them. So I'll contact you guys, the three that I thought were relevant. I'll contact you guys and I'll split it up 3 ways. So a couple $100 for each one of you. I might just round up and do 600 instead of 500, give each $200. And then I will pick using Twitter, whatever the fuck it was called, Twitter search. From there. So anyway, cheers guys. I'm going to take off tomorrow, 1:30. Twitter picker. There it is. Thank you. tomorrow at 1:30, Jack is back. I really, really enjoyed talking to Jack. I have some great questions for him. If you have questions, please, please, please let me know because I'll ask him. You know, I don't care. Pop into the Discord. Let me know what questions you have for Jack Zamplin tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. right here. Anyway, cheers, guys. I'm going to do my little outro, which is always started from the bottom. Now we here. Ask questions. Get them in. Yeah, you're welcome, Nib. Fright guy or Frite guy. Fright guy. Appreciate you.
Word.
There we go. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you as always. Throw the emoji in. Lurks, but enjoyed it. Ace, good to have you here, bud. I'm gonna try to keep them closer to an hour and a half now. 2 hours is long for me and for you. Thanks, guys.